My beloved child, pause right now and listen with your spirit, not just your ears. This is not a random message, and this moment is not ordinary. February 1 has arrived carrying a weight it has never carried before. Archangel Michael steps forward with insight meant specifically for this exact moment in your life. Something unseen has been aligning behind the scenes, and now the veil is lifting. Take these 2 minutes seriously, because what you are about to hear is connected to the next phase that is preparing to unfold around you. You may have felt it already. A strange pressure in your chest. A quiet restlessness. The sense that life is about to shift, but you cannot yet explain how or why. This is not confusion. This is preparation. Archangel Michael says this is the space between what was and what is coming. And February 1 is the marker in time where clarity begins to replace uncertainty. Hear this carefully. The delays you experienced were not denials. They were divine recalibrations. Certain doors did not open earlier because you were not meant to walk through them as the person you used to be. Something had to be strengthened in you first. Your discernment, your courage, your ability to stand without needing validation. And now, that strengthening has reached its threshold. Archangel Michael reveals that a new phase is already in motion, even if your physical world looks the same today. Do not be deceived by appearances. Spirit moves before matter follows. What shifts inward today will manifest outward sooner than you expect. That is why this message carries urgency. Not fear-based urgency, but divine timing. There is a truth you must accept right now. You cannot carry everything into the next season. Some emotional weights, some old narratives, some attachments to how things should have been must be released. They were necessary for your growth, but they are not allowed to travel forward with you. February 1 marks the beginning of separation between what drains you and what empowers you. Archangel Michael stands as a protector and revealer. He says that insight is being delivered, not all at once, but in waves. Small realizations, sudden clarity during quiet moments, conversations that suddenly make sense after the end. Pay attention. Nothing is accidental from this point forward. Even interruption carry instruction. You may be wondering why this message feels so personal. That is because it is. This insight is tailored to where you are spiritually, emotionally, and mentally right now. Others may hear these words, but only you will recognize how deeply they align with your private thoughts. That recognition is your confirmation. There is also a warning wrapped in love. You not rush ahead of the process. Excitement can tempt you to move before the signal is clear. Archangel Michael says patience in the early stage of a new phase protects the blessing from interference. Watch. Listen. Let clarity settle before you act. Speed is not power right now. Alignment is. Some of you are stepping into a role you did not originally plan for. Leadership does not always look like authority. Sometimes it looks like responsibility you did not ask for but were prepared to handle. Do not shrink back. The reason the path ahead feels unfamiliar is because you have never been here before. Growth always feels like that. February 1 is also a line of demarcation. What you tolerate after today becomes a choice, not a circumstance. Archangel Michael says your awareness has increased. And with awareness comes accountability. You will notice things you used to ignore. You will feel resistance where you once felt numb. This is not discomfort to fear. It is guidance to follow. If you have been questioning your intuition lately, this is your answer. Your inner knowing is sharpening. Trust the quiet signals. Trust the pause. Trust the inner no as much as the inner yes. The next phase requires discernment more than effort. Understand this. The unfolding will not announce itself loudly. It will begin subtly. A shift in priorities. A new sense of resolve. A calm confidence replacing anxiety. These are the first signs that the transition has begun. Archangel Michael says, do not underestimate small beginnings. They carry the blueprint of what is to come. This message arrived on February 1 because timing matters. The calendar is not random. Cycles are closing and momentum is building. What you commit to in this window sets the tone for the weeks ahead. Choose consciously. Speak intentionally. Move deliberately. And most importantly, do not dismiss this as just another message. You were drawn here because something in you is ready. Ready to release. Ready to receive. Ready to step into a version of yourself that no longer doubts your own strength. Stay present. There is more clarity coming, and what unfolds next will answer questions you have carried quietly for a long time. Beloved one, take a deep breath as we move deeper into this revelation, because what is being uncovered now requires honesty with yourself. Archangel Michael speaks of a quiet testing that has been happening in your life. Not a test meant to break you, but one designed to reveal what you truly value. Over the past weeks, situations may have surfaced that forced you to choose between comfort and truth, between familiarity and growth. Those moments were not random. They were checkpoints preparing you for what is ahead. There is something important you must understand at this stage. A new phase does not begin when circumstances change. It begins when you decide to change how you respond. Archangel Michael says many blessings remain delayed not because heaven is silent, but because the soul is still negotiating with old patterns. February 1 marks a moment where those negotiations must end. Clarity requires decisiveness. You may notice that certain people, habits, or even thoughts feel heavier than before. What once felt manageable now feels exhausting. This is not weakness. This is awareness. When your spirit grows, it can no longer comfortably carry what does not belong to your future. Archangel Michael emphasizes that discomfort is often the signal that alignment is occurring. Pay attention to how your energy responds to different environments right now. Where do you feel drained? Where do you feel strengthened? These reactions are guidance. The next phase will demand intentional boundaries. Not walls built from fear, but boundaries formed from self-respect and discernment. You are being taught how to protect what is sacred within you. There is also a reminder coming through strongly. Do not compare your timing with anyone else's. Archangel Michael says comparison clouds perception. Your path is calibrated uniquely to your calling. What looks slow to others may be precise in the eyes of the divine. Trust the pace that honors your growth. Some of you are standing at the edge of a decision you have postponed repeatedly. You already know what needs to be done, but fear of loss has kept you still. Hear this gently but clearly. What you release now makes room for something that matches who you are becoming. Holding on out of fear delays the fulfillment you have been asking for. February 1 also carries an activation of courage. Not loud courage, but quiet resolve. The kind that allows you to say no without guilt. The kind that allows you to choose yourself without apology. Archangel Michael says this courage will be tested soon, not to punish you, but to confirm your readiness. When the moment comes, trust the strength that rises within you. There is a shift happening in how you communicate as well. You may feel less inclined to explain yourself, less willing to overextend. This is not arrogance. This is maturity. The next phase values clarity over approval. Speak truthfully, but do not feel compelled to convince those who are committed to misunderstanding you. As this message unfolds, understand that you are not alone in this transition. Many are being called into deeper alignment right now, but each journey looks different. If these words are resonating, it is because your spirit recognizes the frequency of truth being spoken. Let that recognition anchor you. At this point, allow me to speak to you directly. If this message is touching something deep inside you, take a moment to engage with it. Like this video to affirm that this insight reached you at the right time. Share it with someone who may be standing at their own turning point. Leave a comment declaring that you are ready for the new phase unfolding in your life. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel so you stay connected to messages that continue to guide and strengthen your journey. Your engagement helps this light reach those who need it most. Archangel Michael also encourages consistency. Transformation is not built on occasional inspiration, but on daily alignment. Small choices, repeated with intention, create lasting change. Do not underestimate the power of what you choose today. Even the smallest act of self-honoring behavior compounds into something significant. You might be tempted to look for immediate confirmation in the physical world. Resist that urge. Faith often requires you to move internally before evidence appears externally. The next phase will reveal itself step by step, not all at once. Each step will feel clearer than the last. There is something else you should be aware of. Once clarity arrives, ignorance is no longer an option. You cannot unsee what has been revealed. Archangel Michael says this awareness is a gift, but it also carries responsibility. Choose wisely how you respond to what you now know. As we continue, stay open. There is a deeper layer to this message that will speak directly to the questions you have not voiced aloud. Hold on, because what comes next will bring a level of understanding that ties everything together in a way you did not expect. Chosen one, receive this with reverence, because the atmosphere around your life is shifting in a way that cannot be reversed. Archangel Michael steps closer now, not with noise or spectacle, but with precision. He says the reason this phase feels intense is because truth is being distilled. Everything unnecessary is being filtered out. What remains is what will carry power in the days ahead. Here is a revelation unfolding that may challenge how you have interpreted certain past events. You once thought delays were failures. You once thought silence meant absence. But Archangel Michael reveals that much of what you endured was protection disguised as waiting. Some paths you wanted so badly would have cost you your peace. Some connections you tried to save would have drained your calling. What did not work out was not a mistake, it was mercy. Right now, insight is sharpening. You may suddenly understand why certain doors closed without explanation. Why certain people faded away without conflict. Why certain plans dissolved just as you were getting comfortable. This understanding is not meant to reopen old wounds, but to finally close them with wisdom. Closure does not always come from answers, sometimes it comes from growth. Archangel Michael says this new phase requires integrity at a higher level. Integrity not just in what you say, but in what you allow. What you entertain. What you tolerate. The smallest compromises can weaken discernment. That is why you are being called to simplify. Fewer distractions, clearer intentions, stronger alignment between your inner convictions and outer actions. You may feel a quiet confidence building, even if your circumstances have not yet caught up. This confidence is not arrogance, it is recognition. You are recognizing your own authority. Not authority over others, but authority over your choices, your reactions, your direction. This is where personal power is reclaimed. There is also a message of healing here. Some of you have been carrying emotional fatigue that you normalized because it lasted so long. Archangel Michael says you are not meant to survive indefinitely. You are meant to live fully. The next phase brings restoration, but only if you stop reopening old battles that were already resolved in spirit. Be mindful of what you speak during this time. Words are seeds, and the soil is fertile right now. Speak from clarity, not frustration. Speak from faith, not fear. Even casual statements carry weight in this transition. Your voice is aligning with your destiny, and that alignment amplifies what you declare. You may notice that your tolerance for chaos has decreased. Loud environments, draining conversations, unnecessary conflict may feel unbearable now. This is not withdrawal, this is refinement. When your spirit elevates, it naturally seeks peace. Honor that instinct. Peace is not avoidance, it is wisdom choosing preservation. Archangel Michael also brings a reminder about trust. Not blind trust in people, but grounded trust in divine timing. You do not need to force outcomes anymore. What is meant to align will respond to your clarity, not your anxiety. Release the need to control every detail. Control is often fear wearing a mask of responsibility. There is a subtle invitation here. Step into cooperation with the unfolding instead of resistance. Resistance creates exhaustion. Cooperation creates flow. Ask yourself where you are pushing when you could be positioning. Where you are insisting when you could be listening. The answers will guide you gently. As this phase continues to open, expect moments of confirmation. Small signs. Repeated themes. Messages arriving from unexpected places. These are not coincidences, they are reassurances. Archangel Michael says heaven often whispers before it speaks loudly. Pay attention to the whispers. Now receive this activation with intention. Type "I receive divine clarity" in the comments if this message is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 1414 has just been released. I hear the Spirit prompting me to speak directly to those who feel the weight of this moment. What you sow here becomes light for someone else who is still in darkness. As Scripture lives and breathes, God is saying to you now that those who pour oil do not run dry. I am inviting you personally to stand with this mission, because every act of support turns revelation into reach. When you give through super thanks, membership, or PayPal in the description, you are placing seed into fertile ground that multiplies truth across lives. This is not charity, this is obedience meeting opportunity. I speak blessing over your household, your work, and your future for responding in faith. Step forward now and release what heaven has already placed in your hands. Hear this transition carefully because it flows from the same calling. The message you just received does not end with you. It moves through you. God is saying that when you release bread upon the waters, it returns multiplied in its season. I am calling you into action, not later, but now, because urgency carries alignment. Support this work through super thanks, membership, or PayPal found in the description, and watch how light expands beyond this screen. Your giving becomes a prophetic echo that reaches those who are still searching. I declare that every seed you release will open doors you did not knock on. Obey the prompting and move with confidence. Let this final word settle before you act. You were brought here on purpose, and purpose demands response. The Lord is speaking directly, saying that those who build the altar never lack the fire. I am asking you to partner with this assignment by supporting through super thanks, membership, or PayPal linked below. What you release today accelerates testimonies tomorrow. I bless your obedience with increase, clarity, and protection. Do not delay. Step into this moment and let your actions speak. Beloved soul, as this message continues to unfold, there is a deeper layer being revealed now, one that touches the core of your identity. Archangel Michael speaks of alignment not just with what you do, but with who you are becoming. This next phase is not about adding more to your life. It is about refining what already exists within you. The pressure you may be feeling is not meant to crush you, but to shape you. There is a truth that needs to be acknowledged gently. You have outgrown certain versions of yourself, yet parts of you still cling to familiar roles because they once kept you safe. Archangel Michael says safety and destiny are not the same. Safety preserves the present, but destiny calls you forward. The tension you feel right now is the space between these two forces. Do not interpret it as failure. It is the sound of growth. You are being asked to release the need to be understood by everyone. This need has quietly limited your expression. When you constantly explain yourself, you dilute your truth to fit into spaces that were never designed to hold you. The next phase requires clarity without over-explanation. Those meant to walk with you will recognize your direction without needing persuasion. Pay close attention to your inner dialogue during this time. The way you speak to yourself is shaping how confidently you step forward. Archangel Michael warns against subtle self-doubt masked as humility. There is a difference between being humble and diminishing your own worth. You are allowed to acknowledge your growth. You are allowed to recognize your strength. This does not separate you from others. It positions you accurately. There is also a recalibration happening in your priorities. Things that once consumed your attention may now feel irrelevant. This shift can be unsettling, especially when old goals no longer excite you. But hear this clearly. Loss of interest is often a sign that your soul is being redirected. Do not force passion where alignment has already moved on. Archangel Michael reveals that some of the resistance you face now is internal, not external. You have already been given permission to move forward, but part of you is waiting for external validation that may never come. This is intentional. The next phase begins when you trust your inner confirmation more than outside approval. Freedom is found there. You may also notice a change in how you respond to challenges. Situations that once triggered anxiety now invite contemplation. This emotional shift is evidence of maturity. Growth does not mean the absence of difficulty. It means the presence of perspective. Archangel Michael says perspective is your new power. Be mindful of impatience. When clarity begins to emerge, the desire to see immediate results can become strong. But impatience pulls you out of presence. The unfolding requires your awareness, not your rush. What is building now needs stability, not speed. Trust that timing is not working against you, but with you. There is an invitation here to reconnect with stillness. Not withdrawal from life, but intentional pauses within it. Stillness allows insight to surface without distortion. Archangel Michael says answers that are chased often run, but answers that are received arrive fully formed. Create space for listening. You are also being asked to redefine success. Success in the next phase will not be measured solely by visible achievements, but by internal alignment. Peace will become your metric. Integrity will become your compass. If something compromises these, it will no longer feel worth pursuing. This discernment will protect you from unnecessary detours. Do not be surprised if conversations change. You may find yourself uninterested in surface-level exchanges. Depth will call to depth. This does not mean you are isolating. It means your spirit is seeking resonance. Allow relationships to adjust naturally. Force connection on a great friction. Archangel Michael also brings reassurance. You are not behind. You have not missed your moment. What feels like delay is actually synchronization. Everything is aligning to meet you where preparation and opportunity intersect. This intersection is closer than you think. As this phase continues to unfold, remember that growth is rarely loud. It often happens quietly, in private decisions no one applauds. Choosing rest over exhaustion. Choosing truth over convenience. Choosing alignment over approval. These choices are building a foundation that will support what is coming next. Let this understanding settle into you. There is more clarity ahead, more confirmation on the way. What is unfolding is intentional, precise, and deeply connected to who you are meant to be. Stay present, stay receptive, and allow the transformation to complete its work within you. My dear one, there is a gentle but firm unfolding happening now, and Archangel Michael wants you to recognize it before doubt tries to interrupt. This stage of your journey is about recalibration at the soul level. You are not being pushed forward blindly. You are being repositioned with precision. What feels like uncertainty is actually the removal of false certainty that once limited you. There is a deep inner sorting taking place. You may notice that your reactions are changing before your circumstances do. Things that once provoked strong emotion now pass more quietly. Other things, once overlooked, now demand your attention. This is discernment awakening. Archangel Michael says discernment is the language of the next phase. It helps you recognize what is aligned without needing external proof. Some of you have been questioning whether you are still on the right path because it does not look like you imagined. Understand this clearly. Purpose rarely unfolds according to imagination. It unfolds according to readiness. The vision you once had was only a fragment, enough to keep you moving. Now that you are closer, the picture is being refined. Do not mistake refinement for redirection. You are also being asked to forgive yourself, not for dramatic failures, but for the subtle ways you stayed too long in places that no longer honored your growth. Archangel Michael says self-forgiveness releases trapped energy. When you forgive yourself, momentum returns. Carrying regret slows movement, releasing it restores flow. There is an internal strengthening happening that others may not notice yet. You are becoming less reactive and more responsive. This shift changes everything. Reaction is driven by old wounds. Response is guided by present awareness. The next phase requires response. That is why situations may arise that test your emotional discipline. These tests are confirmations, not punishments. Pay attention to the quiet invitations coming into your life. An idea that returns repeatedly. A curiosity you cannot dismiss. A sense of pull towards something unfamiliar but intriguing. Archangel Michael says these are not distractions. They are indicators. Follow them gently, without forcing outcomes. Exploration precedes manifestation. You may also feel a renewed desire for order. Cleaning, organizing, simplifying. This is not coincidence. External order often mirrors internal clarity. As you clear physical and mental space, inside has room to settle. The next phase thrives in simplicity. Complexity was necessary before. Clarity is required now. There is a reminder here about trust, especially self-trust. You have learned enough. You have experienced enough. You no longer need constant reassurance. Archangel Michael emphasizes that confidence now comes from integration, not accumulation. You do not need more information. You need to apply what you already know. Some relationships may feel strained during this time, not because of conflict, but because of divergence. When growth accelerates, alignment is tested. Allow this process without resentment. Not everyone is meant to walk every mile with you. Gratitude for what was does not require clinging to what no longer fits. Be mindful of nostalgia. While reflection can offer insight, longing for previous versions of life can anchor you backward. Archangel Michael says honor your past without living in it. The wisdom gained there is meant to support your future, not replace it. You may also notice a stronger pull toward authenticity. Pretending, performing, or people-pleasing may feel unbearable now. This discomfort is a signal. The next phase demands congruence. Who you are inside must match how you move outside. Any gap between the two will feel heavy until it is corrected. There is also a message about rest. Not escape, but restoration. You have been carrying responsibilities with determination, but the body and spirit require renewal. Rest is not a reward for completion. It is a requirement for clarity. Archangel Michael says wisdom often arrives when you stop striving. If fear surfaces during this time, observe it without judgment. Fear often appears when identity shifts. It tries to protect the familiar, even when the familiar is limiting. Acknowledge it, then choose alignment anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move with truth despite it. As this part of the message settles, understand that nothing is being taken from you without replacement. What falls away creates space. What ends creates direction. What changes creates opportunity. The unfolding is intentional, even when it feels subtle. Remain present. Remain honest. Remain open. What is forming now is stable, grounded, and designed to last. Archangel Michael assures you that this phase is not about dramatic leaps, but about secure footing. Each step you take with awareness strengthens the path beneath you. There is more ahead, and it will build naturally upon what is being established now. Stay attentive, because the next movement will bring clarity that feels both surprising and deeply familiar at the same time. Beloved child, as we move further into this unfolding, Archangel Michael draws your attention to momentum. Not the loud, rushed kind, but the steady movement that comes from inner agreement. This phase of your life is asking you to move in cooperation with what you already know rather than waiting for another sign. You have received enough confirmation. Now comes embodiment. There is a subtle shift happening in how you perceive obstacles. What once felt like opposition is beginning to look like instruction. Archangel Michael says challenges are no longer meant to stop you. They are meant to shape your strategy. Each delay, each redirection, each moment of resistance is refining how you move forward. The next phase rewards adaptability more than force. You may notice that your patience is being tested in new ways. Not through major disruptions, but through small, persistent annoyances. These are not meant to frustrate you. They are revealing where you still rush outcomes instead of trusting process. Patience now is not passive. It is active trust. It is choosing steadiness over impulsive reaction. There is also a strengthening of discernment regarding where you invest your energy. Archangel Michael emphasizes that energy is currency. Where you spend it determines what grows. You are being guided to invest less in proving yourself and more in building what aligns with your values. This redirection may feel unfamiliar at first, but it will bring peace. Pay attention to your routines. Small daily choices are becoming more influential than occasional big decisions. How you begin your day. How you speak to yourself when things do not go as planned. How you end your evenings. These patterns are forming the emotional environment of your next phase. Consistency now creates stability later. You may feel an urge to simplify commitments, to say no without lengthy explanations, to protect your time more intentionally. Archangel Michael says this is wisdom, not selfishness. When your calling grows, your boundaries must grow with it. Overextension weakens clarity. There is also an invitation to reconnect with purpose through action, not just contemplation. Insight without movement becomes stagnation. Even small steps matter. A single aligned action reinforces trust in yourself. Momentum builds when intention meets movement. Some of you are being called to share your journey more openly. Not to seek validation, but to offer perspective. Your experiences carry lessons that others need. Archangel Michael says testimony is powerful when it comes from authenticity, not performance. Speak from truth, and it will resonate where it needs to. At this moment, if this message is aligning with you, allow yourself to participate actively. Like this video to affirm that this insight reached you at the right time. Share it with someone who may be navigating their own transition. Leave a comment expressing what resonated most with you. And make sure you are subscribed to this channel, because staying connected keeps you aligned with messages that support your growth. Your engagement is part of the unfolding. Here is also a reminder about community. You are not meant to walk this path alone. Alignment often brings new connections while reshaping existing ones. Be open to collaboration without losing discernment. Not every opportunity is meant to be pursued, but some are meant to be explored. Archangel Michael speaks of resilience, not the kind that endures endlessly, but the kind that adapts intelligently. You are learning when to persist and when to pivot. This balance will protect you from burnout and keep your vision clear. You may encounter moments where old fears resurface unexpectedly. Do not be alarmed. This often happens just before a breakthrough. Fear tests whether you will retreat into familiarity or step forward with trust. Acknowledge it, then choose alignment anyway. Each time you do, fear loses authority. Be mindful of how you interpret silence. Silence does not mean stagnation. Often, it means integration. When things feel quiet externally, internal shifts are solidifying. Archangel Michael says, do not rush to fill silence with noise. Let it do its work. There is also a gentle encouragement to celebrate progress, even if it feels modest. Growth is cumulative. Each aligned decision builds confidence. Confidence builds clarity. Clarity builds direction. You are further along than you think. Before we move deeper, hold on to this moment. What comes next will connect pieces you may not have realized were related. Stay present with this message, because the next layer brings insight that ties intention, action, and timing together in a way that will sharpen your understanding and strengthen your resolve. Beloved soul, the message deepens now, and Archangel Michael asks you to listen beyond the surface of the words. What is unfolding in your life is not only about direction, but about identity. You are stepping into a phase where who you are becoming matters more than what you achieve. This is a refinement of being, not just doing. There is a quiet separation happening within you. Old motivations are loosening their grip. You may notice that fear-based urgency is fading, replaced by a steadier sense of purpose. Archangel Michael says this is a sign of maturity. When urgency fades, intention strengthens. You are no longer driven by the need to escape discomfort, but by the desire to align with truth. You may find yourself questioning goals you once chased relentlessly. This questioning is healthy. It does not mean you were wrong before. It means you are wiser now. The next phase requires goals that nourish you, not just impress others. External achievement without internal alignment will no longer satisfy you. Pay attention to how you respond to stillness. If rest feels uncomfortable, it may reveal a habit of defining worth through productivity. Archangel Michael reminds you that worth is inherent, not earned. The ability to rest without guilt is a sign of inner security. This security will anchor you as responsibilities increase. There is also a message about emotional honesty. You are being invited to feel without judgment, Suppressing emotions delays clarity. Allowing them creates movement. The next phase does not require perfection. It requires authenticity. Be honest with yourself about what excites you, what drains you, and what you have outgrown. You may notice a shift in how you handle disappointment. Instead of internalizing it as failure, you may now see it as information. This shift changes everything. Information empowers adjustment. Failure paralyzes. Archangel Michael says you are learning to extract wisdom without absorbing shame. Some of you are sensing a calling to contribute in a new way. This contribution may not look like what you expected. It may feel smaller, quieter, or less visible, but it carries significance. Do not underestimate influence that operates without applause. True impact often moves beneath the surface. Be mindful of distractions that present themselves as urgency. Not every urgent thing is important. The next phase demands discernment between noise and instruction. Archangel Michael encourages you to slow your responses just enough to listen before you act. This pause will save you from unnecessary detours. There is also a recalibration of trust happening in relationships. You may feel guided to trust patterns rather than promises. Actions will speak more clearly than words now. This is not cynicism. It is wisdom earned through experience. Let trust be informed by consistency. You might also feel drawn to learning, but not in the way you did before. Instead of accumulating information, you seek integration. You want knowledge that transforms, not just informs. Archangel Michael says integration turns insight into embodiment. This is the focus of the next phase. Notice how your intuition speaks. It may not be loud or dramatic. It may show up as a quiet sense of ease or discomfort. Honor these signals. They are becoming more precise as you learn to listen without overriding them with logic alone. Balance intuition with reason, but do not silence either. There is an invitation here to redefine strength. Strength is no longer endurance at all costs. It is discernment, adaptability, and self-respect. Knowing when to step back is as powerful as knowing when to step forward. Archangel Michael affirms that you are learning this balance. You may feel moments of loneliness even while surrounded by others. This does not mean you are disconnected. It often means your inner world is expanding faster than your outer environment. Allow this space without fear. It is temporary and purposeful. As this phase unfolds, remember that clarity does not always come as certainty. Sometimes it comes as calm, a calm that allows you to move without needing to control outcomes. This calm is a sign that trust is taking root. There is nothing missing, nothing delayed beyond repair, nothing wasted. Every step has contributed to your readiness. Archangel Michael assures you that what is forming now is stable and aligned. You are not building on sand, but on understanding. Stay with this unfolding. What comes next will bring a sense of recognition, as if pieces of your life are finally arranging themselves into a pattern that makes sense. That recognition will confirm that you are exactly where you need to be. Beloved one, receive this next layer with stillness, because Archangel Michael is now addressing the deeper roots beneath your recent experiences. This phase is not only about what is changing around you, but about what is being healed within you. Some patterns did not begin with you, yet you carried them faithfully until now. The reason they feel heavy is because they were never meant to be permanent. There is an inner untying happening. Old emotional agreements are being dissolved. Agreements like I must struggle to deserve, or I must stay silent to keep peace, or I must carry this alone. Archangel Michael says these agreements were formed in seasons of survival, not in seasons of alignment. You are no longer surviving. You are transitioning into stewardship of your own life. You may notice memories surfacing unexpectedly, not to torment you, but to be released properly. Healing does not erase memory. It changes the meaning of it. When a memory no longer controls your present reaction, it has lost its authority. This is the freedom being offered now. There is also a restoration of trust taking place. Not naive trust, but grounded trust. Trust that allows you to engage without losing yourself. Trust that sets boundaries without closing your heart. Archangel Michael emphasizes that discernment and openness can coexist. You no longer have to choose between being wise and being compassionate. Some of you have been holding back your voice, waiting for a moment when everything feels perfectly aligned. Hear this clearly. Clarity often comes after expression, not before it. When you speak from truth, alignment follows. Silence has protected you long enough. The next phase invites authentic expression. You may feel a renewed sense of responsibility, not as burden, but as purpose. Responsibility now feels meaningful rather than heavy. This shift indicates that you are carrying what is yours, not what was imposed on you. Archangel Michael says rightful responsibility strengthens identity. There is also an invitation to forgive beyond logic. Forgiveness here is not about agreement or reconciliation. It is about release. Carrying resentment ties you to the moment of injury. Releasing it returns energy to your present. You are not being asked to forget. You are being asked to be free. Pay attention to how your body responds during this time. Fatigue, restlessness, or sudden calm can all be signs of integration. Spiritual growth often expresses itself physically. Honor rest when needed. Honor movement when inspired. Your body is part of this transition. You may notice a clearer sense of what is no longer negotiable. Values that once felt flexible are becoming firm. This is not rigidity. It is self-respect. The next phase requires a strong internal compass. You are calibrating it now. Archangel Michael also speaks of inheritance. Not material inheritance, but spiritual. Wisdom gained through experience. Strength formed through endurance. Compassion refined through loss. These are assets you carry forward. Nothing you endured was wasted. As this awareness settles, there is an activation being released. Type "I step into freedom" in the comments if this message resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 2229 is now activated. I feel led to speak to those who sense the weight of this moment. What you have just received is not meant to stop with you. Light multiplies when it is shared. Scripture speaks of oil that flows and never runs dry. And God is saying to you now that every seed placed in obedience releases increase beyond what you can see. I am personally inviting you to support this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal linked in the description. When you give, you are turning revelation into reach, allowing this word to touch lives still waiting in silence. I bless your obedience with open doors, divine protection, and unexpected provision. Move now, and let your action echo in eternity. This word continues to flow from the same place of truth. God is declaring that those who build the altar never lack the fire. When you support through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal in the description, you are placing your seed into fertile ground where testimonies are born. This is not a transaction. It is alignment with assignment. I speak increase over your household and clarity over your steps as you respond. Do not delay what has already been confirmed in your spirit. Receive this final encouragement in this moment. Heaven responds to faith expressed through action. I am calling you to stand with this work now through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal found below. What you release today will return multiplied in the season ahead. I bless you for responding without hesitation. Step forward and let your support become a living testimony. Remain present, because what unfolds next will connect healing with direction in a way that brings lasting peace. Beloved child, as this message carries you forward, Archangel Michael draws your attention to something subtle yet powerful: integration. This is the stage where insight settles into behavior, where awareness becomes lived experience. Many receive revelation, but few allow it to reshape their daily choices. You are being guided into that deeper level now. You may notice that life feels quieter in some ways. Fewer emotional spikes. Less internal argument. This quiet is not emptiness. It is stability forming. Archangel Michael says silence after clarity is a sign that confusion has lost its grip. You are no longer negotiating with truth. You are learning how to live from it. There is an important adjustment happening in how you view effort. In earlier seasons, effort meant pushing, proving, and enduring. In this phase, effort looks like consistency, presence, and discernment. You are learning that not everything requires intensity. Some things require patience and precision. This shift will conserve your energy and sharpen your impact. Pay attention to what feels natural now. Certain choices that once felt difficult may suddenly feel obvious. This is alignment at work. When resistance fades, flow increases. Archangel Michael reminds you that alignment does not remove responsibility. It removes unnecessary struggle. You may find yourself less interested in drama, even when it is close to you. Emotional entanglements that once pulled you in now feel distant. This does not mean you care less. It means you are choosing peace over activity. This choice is protecting your clarity. There is also a recalibration of expectations. You may stop expecting certain people to meet needs they were never equipped to fulfill. This realization can feel bittersweet, but it is freeing. When expectations align with reality, resentment dissolves. Archangel Michael says acceptance is not settling. It is seeing clearly. Some of you are becoming aware of how much you have matured. Not through grand milestones, but through quieter indicators. How you handle disappointment. How you respond to uncertainty. How you speak to yourself during moments of doubt. These shifts matter. They are evidence that growth has taken root. Be mindful of subtle temptations to return to old patterns simply because they are familiar. Familiarity is not the same as alignment. The next phase requires you to choose what nourishes you, even when it feels new. Trust that comfort will follow consistency. You may also feel a renewed sense of responsibility toward your own well-being. Rest, nourishment, and boundaries are becoming non-negotiable. This is not indulgence. It is stewardship. Archangel Michael says caring for yourself is not a distraction from purpose. It is preparation for it. There is a strengthening of inner authority happening. You may feel less inclined to ask for permission, approval, or reassurance. This does not mean you reject guidance. It means you trust your discernment. Guidance now confirms what you already sense rather than replacing it. Notice how your values are becoming clearer. Decisions are easier when values are defined. You may still face choices that require courage, but confusion is no longer the dominant emotion. Clarity is. Even when outcomes are uncertain, your direction feels steady. There is also a reminder about gratitude. Not forced gratitude, but honest acknowledgement. Recognize how far you have come. Honor the resilience that carried you through uncertainty. Gratitude grounds you in the present and prevents you from chasing fulfillment exclusively in the future. Archangel Michael speaks of sustainability. The next phase is not about short bursts of inspiration followed by exhaustion. It is about rhythms that can be maintained. Pace yourself. Honor cycles of action and rest. Longevity matters now. You may experience moments of deep calm that feel unfamiliar. Let them be. Calm is not stagnation. It is confidence resting in trust. When urgency fades, intuition becomes clearer. This calm will guide you more reliably than anxiety ever did. If questions arise about what comes next, hold them gently. Not every answer is meant to arrive immediately. Some answers reveal themselves as you move. Trust the process of unfolding. You are not being tested. You are being guided. As this part of the message settles, understand that integration is ongoing. You do not need to rush completion. Each day offers opportunities to choose alignment again. These repeated choices are building something stable and lasting. Stay present with this unfolding. What is coming next will speak to how this internal transformation begins to express itself outwardly, shaping your actions, relationships, and direction in ways that feel both grounded and purposeful. Beloved one, as this message advances, Archangel Michael brings your focus to expression. What has been forming within you now seeks movement outward. This is the stage where internal alignment begins to influence visible action. Not dramatic action, but deliberate, conscious movement. The kind that reshapes your life quietly but permanently. You may notice an increasing desire to act with intention rather than impulse. Decisions feel weightier, not because they are heavier, but because you are more present with them. Archangel Michael says awareness has sharpened, and with it comes responsibility. You are no longer moving on autopilot. Each choice now feels connected to something larger. There is a lesson here about timing. Acting too early once cost you energy. Acting too late once cost you opportunity. Now you are learning the balance between patience and responsiveness. This balance is not learned intellectually. It is felt. Trust that feeling. It is the product of everything you have integrated so far. You may feel called to revisit certain goals, not to abandon them, but to redefine them. What once mattered may still matter, but the reason has changed. Motivation rooted in fear is being replaced by motivation rooted in purpose. Archangel Michael says this shift ensures sustainability. Purpose fuels endurance. Fear only fuels urgency. Notice how your standards are rising. You may no longer tolerate inconsistency, half-commitment, or misalignment, even from yourself. This is not pressure, it is clarity. When clarity is present, compromise feels uncomfortable. Let that discomfort guide you, not shame you. There is also a refinement happening in communication. You may speak less but with greater precision. Words feel more intentional. Silence feels more comfortable. Archangel Michael emphasizes that silence chosen consciously is powerful. It creates space for discernment and prevents unnecessary entanglement. You might feel moments of vulnerability as you step into this clearer expression. Visibility can feel risky when you have learned to protect yourself by staying small. But understand this: authenticity attracts alignment. You are not meant to appeal to everyone. You are meant to resonate with what is true. There is a reminder here about discipline. Not rigid discipline, but devotional consistency. Showing up even when motivation fluctuates. Maintaining alignment even when results are not immediate. Archangel Michael says discipline is how intention becomes reality. Small acts repeated faithfully carry immense power. At this point, allow yourself to engage with this message actively. If these words are aligning with your spirit, like this video as a signal of agreement. Share it with someone who may be standing at the edge of their own transition. Leave a comment declaring that you are choosing alignment over confusion. And make sure you are subscribed to this channel so you remain connected to messages that continue to support and guide this unfolding. Your participation strengthens this shared space of clarity. There is also an encouragement to examine where you invest attention. What you focus on consistently will expand. Choose focus deliberately. Starve distractions. Feed alignment. This practice will simplify your path more than any external strategy. You may encounter moments where old doubts attempt to resurface, especially as you step into clearer expression. Do not interpret doubt as regression. Doubt often appears when identity shifts. It is testing whether you will retreat into familiarity or stand in truth. Each time you choose truth, doubt weakens. Archangel Michael speaks of stewardship again. You are learning how to steward your energy, your time, your voice, and your gifts. Stewardship requires awareness and restraint. Not everything deserves your response. Not every invitation requires acceptance. Discernment will keep you focused. There is a growing sense of coherence between your inner world and outer actions. When these align, fatigue decreases, confusion fades, direction strengthens. This coherence is one of the greatest indicators that you are moving in the right direction. As this message nears its transition, pause for a moment. Notice how much has shifted internally since you began listening. Even if you cannot articulate it fully, something has settled. That settling is alignment taking root. Stay with this unfolding. What comes next will reveal how this clarity begins to shape tangible outcomes in ways that feel steady, grounded, and unmistakably intentional. Hold on, because this next movement will connect inner readiness with outward opportunity in a way that brings lasting confidence. Beloved child, as this message continues to unfold, Archangel Michael draws your awareness toward consolidation. This is the phase where scattered pieces begin to come together, where experiences that once felt disconnected start to reveal a pattern. You are not entering something entirely new without context. You are stepping into the result of everything you have already lived, learned, and endured. There is a deep internal anchoring happening now. You may feel more grounded, even when circumstances remain uncertain. This grounding is not based on control, but on trust. Archangel Michael says trust has matured within you. It is no longer fragile or dependent on constant reassurance. It is steady, quiet, and resilient. You may notice that your emotional reactions continue to soften. Situations that once felt overwhelming now feel manageable. This does not mean life has become easier. It means you have become stronger in a balanced way. Strength now looks like regulation, not resistance. You are learning how to stay present without being consumed. There is also a deepening of self-respect taking place. You may find yourself unwilling to compromise values for convenience. Choices feel clearer because you are less conflicted internally. Archangel Michael emphasizes that internal alignment reduces external confusion. When you know who you are, decisions require less debate. You might feel a sense of closure around certain chapters of your life. Not dramatic endings, but a quiet knowing that something is complete. This completion allows energy to return to you. When chapters close naturally, they do not leave residue. They leave wisdom. Honor these endings without revisiting them unnecessarily. Pay attention to how you handle uncertainty now. Instead of rushing to resolve it, you may find yourself able to sit with it. This ability is powerful. It means you trust that clarity will arrive when needed. Archangel Michael says patience at this level is a sign of spiritual maturity. There is also a refinement happening in your sense of purpose. Purpose no longer feels like a destination you must reach urgently. It feels like a direction you live into daily. This shift removes pressure and replaces it with intention. Purpose expressed consistently becomes identity. You may notice that you are more selective with your words. Conversations feel more meaningful. Small talk may feel draining. This is not arrogance. It is resonance. Your spirit seeks depth because it has tasted clarity. Allow communication to evolve naturally. There is an invitation here to acknowledge your resilience, not in a way that glorifies struggle, but in a way that honors endurance. You have adapted, learned, and continued even when clarity was absent. That resilience has prepared you for stability now. Archangel Michael says stability is the foundation of the next phase. You may feel moments of anticipation, not anxious anticipation, but quiet expectancy. This is different from hope rooted in desperation. It is expectation rooted in alignment. You sense that something is approaching because preparation has been completed internally. Be mindful of how you respond to opportunities that arise. Not every opportunity is meant to be seized immediately. Some are meant to be observed first. Discernment will guide you. Archangel Michael reminds you that alignment feels calm, not frantic. There is also a subtle strengthening of boundaries. You may say less but mean more. You may engage selectively. This is not withdrawal. It is intentional presence. Your energy is becoming more focused, and focus amplifies impact. Notice how gratitude arises more naturally now. Not because everything is perfect, but because perspective has widened. You see both challenge and progress clearly. Gratitude stabilizes this perspective and keeps you grounded in the present. You may also sense a growing readiness to be seen as you truly are. Not the version shaped by survival, but the version shaped by clarity. This visibility may feel vulnerable, but it is also freeing. Archangel Michael says authenticity attracts alignment more reliably than effort ever could. As this phase consolidates, understand that you are not being rushed. There is no countdown forcing you forward. The unfolding respects your pace. What matters now is consistency, not speed. Take a moment to recognize how far you have come in awareness alone. Awareness precedes change. You are no longer guessing blindly. You are moving with insight. This insight will guide your steps with increasing precision. Remain attentive and present. What comes next will bring a sense of culmination, not as an ending, but as a confirmation. The final movement will speak to how everything you have integrated begins to express itself with purpose and blessing, completing this cycle of revelation in a way that feels both gentle and powerful. My beloved child, receive this final movement with reverence, because Archangel Michael stands firmly at the threshold of completion and beginning at the same time. What you have been walking through is not just a season of insight, but a full cycle of transformation. This is the moment where understanding becomes embodiment and preparation becomes permission. You are not waiting anymore. You are arriving. There is a calm authority settling over your spirit now. Not dominance and not control, but knowing. Knowing who you are. Knowing what you will no longer accept. Knowing where your energy belongs. Archangel Michael says this knowing is the seal of readiness. When knowing replaces striving, alignment has been achieved. You may notice that fear has lost its volume. It may still appear, but it no longer commands your direction. This is significant. Fear once influenced your timing, your decisions, your silence. Now it has become background noise. Discernment has taken the lead. Peace has become your reference point. There is also a final release happening here. Release of the version of yourself that survived instead of lived. Release of old self-negotiations. Release of timelines you once forced. Archangel Michael says this release is sacred. You are not abandoning who you were. You are honoring who you have become. This new phase does not require you to prove anything. It asks you to steward what hath been entrusted to you. Your voice, your wisdom, your compassion, your clarity. These are not accidents. They are the result of refinement. And refinement always precedes responsibility. Pay attention now to the way opportunities begin to respond to you. You will notice less chasing and more alignment, less forcing and more invitation. What is meant for you will recognize you because you are no longer hidden behind confusion or compromise. You may feel a sense of quiet excitement, not the kind that rushes, but the kind that assures. This is expectancy rooted in trust. Archangel Michael says this is how fulfillment begins, not with noise, but with certainty. Remember this clearly. The next phase will not look like chaos resolving itself. It will look like order emerging naturally. Right people, right timing, right conversations, right clarity. You are stepping into coherence. If moments of reflection arise, let them be gentle. You do not need to relive pain to honor growth. Growth is evident in how you move now, in how you respond, in how you choose peace without explanation. This message arrived because your spirit was ready to receive it. Not earlier, not later. Now, timing hath been precise, and what unfolds from here will continue to confirm that precision. Receive this activation now with intention. Type "I walk in alignment" in the comments if this message has reached your spirit. Blessing code 9091 is now released over your life. And now I speak directly to those who feel the weight and beauty of this moment. What you have just received is not meant to remain contained. Light multiplies when it is poured out. God is speaking right now, saying that those who sow into truth become carriers of harvest for others. I am personally calling you to act on this stirring by supporting this mission through super thanks, membership, or PayPal found in the description. When you give, you are not funding a channel. You are fueling a calling, turning revelation into reach for souls who are still searching. I declare that every seed you release will return with clarity, protection, and increase. Obey the prompting now and let your support become a prophetic act. Hear this continuation as one breath with the message itself. Scripture lives when it moves through willing hands, and God is declaring that those who pour oil will never run dry. Your support through super thanks, membership, or PayPal is a response to divine alignment, not a suggestion. As you give, I speak blessing over your home, your decisions, and your future doors. What you release today accelerates what is already prepared for you. Move now with confidence and authority. Receive this final charge with clarity and strength. Heaven responds to obedience expressed through action. I am commanding you to partner with this assignment now through super thanks, membership, or PayPal in the description. What you sow here becomes light in places you may never see, but heaven records every act. I bless your giving with overflow, stability, and divine remembrance. Step forward without hesitation and let your obedience seal this moment.